Okay, hi everybody. I may have rushed some of the setup. I'll try and talk loud because the AC is on. Um, no, you do rest, but you don't really need to do the rest. No, that's fine. I do apologize for the mess. I'm doing this kind of spur of the moment as far as podcasting because I wanted to talk about a couple things. And yeah, it's interesting. I asked the other person in the house, how was the pot doing that's just got water boiling? I'm going to have to put a sleeve on because I'm probably going to get warm, but right now I am feeling the AC up here. It's chilly. Woo-wee. I wonder if my slippers are back. Mostly good to be out. They should be in the breeze and the what's that in the sun. Although I'm kind of like, do I want this? Don't I? I don't know. I think once I get moving and grooving up in here, I will warm up just fine. Yeah, that's not bad. I do apologize for the kitchen and everything. And how can you cook in that messiness? It's a little bit chaotic at the moment. And one of us couldn't, but I can because I'm used to it. Chaotic in the deep end sometimes. So this is live, unedited. I'm still learning editing features, and I kind of don't mind being organic and kind of. I don't know if I should put a light on. I don't think that I need to really, but when I'm moving, I kind of do go into shadow. I can be a bit sensitive though, but that doesn't really do much for us. That one, if it's burnt out upstairs, I'm going to guess it. Oh, but it's not downstairs. But I don't think that really adds much light into this room. And that one may not be a great choice either. So, okay. So yeah, it was a little bit more gently boiling 2 minutes after I asked. But, and I am actually going to be using some stuff that was on the counter, such as dry noodles, to do this. So, I'm multitasking. I will admit, maybe I shouldn't, maybe, you know what I wouldn't mind doing? Do I want to sip on coffee? It will keep my throat soothed. Possibly, maybe. Okay, you got to get to that water though. I'm just going to have to move this to heat the thingy because it's on top of the microwave, which had stuff on it, but I've altered that. I just don't think it'd be good to have the laptop on top of the microwave running. Okay. I do and don't have much update, but he's going to be out there for a while. And you know, it is. It looks like it's quite windy, and so that affects the allergies a little bit. The breeze is very nice, though. And I don't know, it's getting close to 8. You know, sometimes that's kind of what the weekdays look like, and we're not the busiest of people. But it's been what the weekends look like, too. And part of that is that it's been so nice. Like, not super hot. There's been a nice breeze, but nice. And I don't know. Just kind of got to nap late, and yeah. So, okay. I honestly don't know. Ooh, I almost finger line. I don't know if he's gonna want the disease. Now I don't know if that this was not a bad coffee, so I kind of don't mind not having much with it. I don't mind not eating with it, is what I meant to say. Sometimes I make a coffee and it's like I need to pair that with food. Didn't turn out so well. And I'm not by any means the greatest cook, but I try and eat well, and I think that's important. Um, we haven't had anybody here yet. I'm kind of surprised that people like cooking shows. Not that this is really a cooking show, but it's me showing me cooking. I just have to really quickly run upstairs, not for one of the usual reasons, but I feel like my ear's a bit clogged. And I also do feel like that's still a bit wet. Or it's sticking in it. It's still sticky for some reason. I spilled some coffee earlier, and it got on some footwear. And I didn't know with the bottoms if it could go into the laundry. So I've given them a wipe, but it was needing another one. Probably good that it landed facing up, because otherwise it wouldn't have been as likely to dry. You can make it for later, no worries. Anybody here? I kind of want to wait to say much until people are here. And I'll look every now and then. Yeah. And what I'm making, I don't think would be too kind of hazardous to kind of be cooking it. Oh, shit. Just a moment. Next time you're sitting on the arm of the couch. Plugged in. Woo-wee, that was close. Yeah, because I was using it in a different spot in the living room, not plugged in, because I don't see it flashing, but let me just see for a moment here. Okay, hopefully we can get this in time. And hopefully it can still keep rolling, even though it is at 17%. So I think it'll be okay. And I just passed 8:17 mark. Yeah, there was too much sun. I thought the window actually, the cushion closest to the window actually may have been less in the sun, because I just find it too warm. But it wasn't, so I was sitting in another spot. So, oh, hi, Sheila. How are you? Man, you missed a doozy earlier today, but glad you're here now. It's kind of ironic, because I do, not that everybody doesn't have food in their lives, but I do associate a Sheila with an interesting food thing. Sorry, it's lagging a little bit, I noticed, because I was moving a bit. Hopefully you'll be able to hear the kitchen. And yes, hopefully it's not lagging as much for you as it is for me. So I'm starting this podcast, or doing this podcast, as we get a second person as well. I'm almost wanting to check that lagging, but as long as everybody's patient with it, hopefully it's not too bad. I don't normally notice it. I knew that I had to make dinner. There's only two of us in the house, but I knew that I had to make dinner. The dog is looking like he wants to distract it a little bit, but maybe as I get moving around, he won't. But I was watching some stuff ahead of time. I know what I want to watch with dinner, but because we do that, because we talk with each other plenty otherwise, and so I like to kind of watch something. I'm actually going to watch back a little bit, not to sound conceited or whatever, but the other person in the home wasn't around when I did the other podcast. There was some neat moments. So, and it was a little bit quiet, so I want to show. So I do want to say what I'm making, and I'm not sure if you think it's interesting. And it's actually fairly simple, to be honest, but it's also kind of a bit unique. But I also want to talk about something at the same time. So, what I'm making is, and what have you guys had today? And also, whether you've celebrated Father's Day or not, make yourself a special dinner. And I'm not a cook by any means. I mean, I cook because I have to, but I'm not fancy. However, we've got some nice items right now. So what I'm going to make is a pasta with a cream cheese and garlic butter sauce. I figured I could take a picture of it and make it the thumbnail later, but I don't know if it's going to look as good as I think it sounds. I'm not sure. And then I'm going to have some paneer. I was going to make it with, which is like a Middle Eastern cheese. I was going to make it with gravy, but we have a big tray that we cooked some veggies on a few days ago. And it's something that I felt could sit out of the fridge, and the fridge was kind of got a lot in it at the moment. Feeling blessed, we've had some help. But I figured I can sit out with and then and it did kind of go a little bit funny on the top in a couple of days, but not bad. So I covered it with a lid the night that I made it, and it's got some seasonings on it and some squash, which I thought would go really good with the gravy. But we'll just have to see if it happens. Because honestly, and we have 4 people here now. Honestly, if I was to make up some gravy, and we have a lot of pots unavailable. Unfortunately, gravy. Oh, I don't know. For sure, it's going to be the pasta, the paneer, with some seasonings maybe. Steak spice was something kind of special to my dad, ironically. It might be some olives in there. It's kind of winging it, and so just get these kind of going, and then I do want to kind of bring in the second part of the title and ask about something. Also, I've never heard of this Pluckman's Italian seasonings before. Add some diff if you have it. Dill. The closest we have to dill are these dill crispers right now, and there's not many of them. But it's amazing how spices and seasonings can really, So I was feeling a little bit weak even after a nap, but I kind of did sleep in. That wasn't a long sleep, but and my usual bath, which I know uses a lot of water because I do it daily, and sometimes both of us do. Possibly more shower. Now it's just want to be here. But anyway, I can talk about you in the bath. Why not? We all do it sometimes. Anywho, but Sheila's still here because you are tried and true. You are, what's the word? And that reminds me. Okay, so let me get this started. We'll stir her up. The paneer really doesn't take that long to make. I'm even using a bigger element and the big pot. Too loud, eh? I don't know what about that. Because actually I thought I had it in a button. Okay, now it looks like you left, but I think it's going to come back, or it's just being wonky. But it did change from 1 to 0. Okay, I'm exerting a bit more energy because I'm doing this while I'm podcasting. So I'm at 22%. It's saying it below your comment. Okay, I think somebody's here. But yeah, none of this is all that complicated. But yes, I'm kind of really thinking, although the veg could go well, and I don't want to use the ground that I often use, the veggie beef kind of stuff, because it's good. It's pretty similar, but I just do use it a lot. I don't really want to run a lot of water either. We've got literally a stack of 4 pots rather. And the only other one is the one I'm using for the pasta. So, have you ever made, I know, some people say no, I make it from scratch. But has anybody ever made packaged gravy in the microwave by any chance? I know, it sounds really fancy, doesn't it? No, but I mean, for the reasons just stated, that might be the easiest way. Would it work, is what I'm wondering. I've also noticed that this paneer is it's the kind you always use, but it's a bit more probably in time. So, yes. But I wanted to also jump into the topic aside from cooking. Yes, it would work. Okay, well, that's good to know. Now, what am I going to put it in even still? I'm sure I'll find something. This is sitting on top of the microwave, though, so that will have to come after. The golf ball bowl, perhaps? Perhaps. Okay. You know, the veggies would be fine. Then suddenly it went 0 and then back to 2 again. Would be fine as is with the stuff. But I think I want a bit of variety. 1, in case the sauce doesn't work out. And 2, I don't know, I'm getting a craving. I used to have that all the time when I was young, either veggies and cheese sauce or well, gravy on potatoes for sure. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think this is the first time I've ever had squash, but it may well be. And I got it from my home. So there you have it. Just have to quickly grab a Kleenex. You got all the stuff you need, son. Just as well, I mean, I might actually opt for eating outside. I mean, it is lovely. But like I said, we usually like to watch stuff and then not have to worry about the Wi-Fi or privacy, whatever. But there's still a lot of sun coming into the living room, and it's just, yeah. I almost sometimes think I have that sun disorder. Are you still here, Sheila? Because it doesn't say it, so just checking. Where I just kept being it too much. I did warm up my coffee, so I might as well have a bit. Good for the throat. Okay, cool. So, yeah, ultimately, though, everything is fairly easy to make. And he don't complain. Yeah, that was from a complaint he had earlier. He's like, can we get the stuff off this chair? I put this on another chair. I don't remember what I did with the other stuff, but some coats I hung up, or a coat I hung up. I didn't just move everything from another chair. Sometimes would, but don't even. But ultimately, things are pretty easy here. Now, so I need a full and thread. We've had some stuff in this. I'm just going to give it a quick rinse. There wasn't a lot in it, nothing too whatever, but with that big pot, even though this got kind of melted at the corner, I have to use this to strain. And we'll use this oh, and by the way, you forgot, I don't like my name said on here. That's why it's initials. Prefer for it to be anonymous. But I don't know if any. There was at one point 2 or 3 people here, but just try and remember, eh? I might have to move this chair. I can usually cook around it, but just at the moment, I feel like it's more because I'm using this furthest burner, and I'm really far away. Okay, I need to get the paneer happening. Have you ever had that? I feel like it's kind of a unique item. Not that people don't eat it, or even donate it. I'm just kidding. And then I want to talk. So there's somebody that I followed who unfortunately I don't anymore. And actually, I'm trying to decide whether I should block my email because I do have them there. I still haven't got your TikTok, by the way. I feel very mixy. I tried to on YouTube, but it's unclear whether that actually works. It seems like it does in chat, and it's really cool when someone puts their own selves in their own chat. But it's kind of rare. It's interesting. I'm not, I spend a lot of time on YouTube, but lately I've been following specific channels more. And I guess also maybe 1 or 2 of them I unintentionally click to notify me anytime they come live, or go live. And so it's doing that. And I want to talk. There's been a couple of them I've talked about recently, so I don't need to say a whole lot. There's been one. I mean, he. I think I have no filter. He most certainly doesn't. And he said a couple kind of like I don't know what to make of it things lately. And he's got people giving people memberships in the chat, and it's so fast and just so much randomness in the chat. Like, I don't know if I'd feel different if it was in my own, but it's I don't have to read everything in there, but every now and then your eye catches something. In fact, I'd be very curious. One of the people I said, I wondered if he was related to somebody. He had the same first initial and the same last name. I figured that this was not that, you know, I am and I'm not hungry. It's been fairly warm inside, but it's I don't know. I am and I'm not, because I'm not feeling 100%. But I was curious to see how this works out, and hope I don't get myself too congested to want to eat. I'm guessing you're still there, just doing a check, just doing a wellness check. No, and we got some. It says one at the top now, but even when it said none, it seems like you're still here, like it did the other day. And I noticed somebody else posting about that too, so I don't know what that's about. But either way, glad that you are. So I'm just trying to, it's not just that I'm cooking, I'm also trying to talk about something. So you'd think my ADHD would work perfect for it, and I think mostly it does, but it's still a little so-so. So I'm just gonna, this actually seems like it's the same kind, but it seems like it's more firm and less sticky for some reason than it was the other day. I don't know what that's about. So, is it Sheila that we still got Sheila? Do we have anybody else here? Because I mean, like I say, it's been saying that Sheila's here even when it says 0 at the top, but it says 1. So does that actually mean 2? That might be enough moisture in the. And we got Sunny down here, watching for anything to fall. We're going to do enough for both of us. And you as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're relaxing. Have you already had your dinner tonight? I was going to ask about... So I told the guy, I says, can you come and tell me on one of my videos if you're related to this person? Because I might miss your comment. And it's somebody I know that, of course, has passed away, because there's lots of those. And... I'm almost feeling like it might be better support under my feet, or maybe not, to have these shoes on, these sandals. What are you doing? I guess that's specific enough. Sure. I was thinking about somebody I associate taco salads with just the other day. How ironic, right? We saw somebody going past our place the other day. She was across the street. And it's the other person in the house that says, I think I know who that is. And I hollered out, and she kind of looked in this direction, but she didn't really respond. And then she started talking to another neighbor a few houses down and across the street, who we kind of know. And then she went into her yard with her, and then she, and I was kind of walking the dog. I didn't want to go. I figured she probably wouldn't, but I didn't know if she would say, what are you coming into my yard without permission for? But I mean, we kind of know her, but she can be a bit sensitive. I didn't know whether it'd be a good idea. And then he was looking at that door. And then I came around not long after that. She went on her way and went like 3 or 4 houses down and up, and I guess she lives there. So then we went over and asked, is this who I thought it was? Oh, no. And I was like, damn, because she would have moved to our street, which I didn't realize her daughter lives nearby, and we could have reconnected because we kind of lost touch. And I would have looked past the fact that she was wearing all my least favorite color, as I almost made a mess here. Anywho, so, but he was from, the other person I'm talking about here is like, oh, that's not good. I'm going to leave that there to remember to do something with that. He's from Jackson, Tennessee, which I believe is near Kentucky. If you know any reelers in Tennessee, you might know who I'm talking about. So that would be a really ironic thing. It's hard to get these things to flip. Okay, do I need to put more bit of butter? Butter. Put some on the coffee maker. Yeah, he can make coffee. Let him do it later. Anywho, yeah, and this just has to be blended together later. That's not a problem. That's there. What have I gotten into my coffee there? I don't know, but I got it pretty easily. So, I want to remember to. So, like I said, you don't have a whole lot of content. 2.5 from you. Okay. I'm going to Jackson. Okay, these noodles are well done, or not well done, but they're done. So I'm going to strain them and then put them over there. Doesn't take long to boil noodles, eh? That's why I like it. Like it's a staple for us, you know. Please tell. You're only one here right now, not and that makes a big difference, especially when you're the only one. So I appreciate it. And I had to like almost double explain this, but for anybody who sees this afterward, please tell anybody you know that works in daycares or schools. Oh wow, this is. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Where'd that other little knife go? I don't know, but we'll use this one. Anyways, and some stuff from the hamper, which I've got to thank Ray for. And this and that. Yeah, we did a doozy. There was some really cool channeling. There was some music. And so feel free to check that out, lady. I know you were going to check out some more the other day, but you actually were here for almost an hour the other day. When I look back at it, I think I did that math right. This one's up back, and I had some earlier. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Anywho, I want to remember. I do have a specific question. So I talked myself into looking past the statement and just telling him, maybe don't say it. Should I say it? Should I say what he said? This guy that I follow who has no filter and says, and even crazier than me, in some ways, he was sick and he's 21. He's acting like he's never had a cold before. And, or I don't want to say he's dramatic, but he's a goofball. He's like Jim Carrey almost in his personality, Robin Williams, that kind of, right? And he said, oh, it was rotten in bed. Just laying there rotten. Then he's made a couple of interesting butt comments, but I mean, one of them was kind of amusing. If he had said the one I heard him say today in a different way, I may have, and then, like I say, just the crazy amount of chat. And he actually called it a relaxing podcast. I said, and I commented to him, I said, yeah, I knew that wouldn't last for long in here, but it's good that you're a little bit of both. You're a mixture. I'm often in the both or middle category with a lot of stuff. I said some comments. There's a couple, at least 2, maybe more, of his videos I would love to look back at. Because they're cooking unevenly like they sometimes do. Because I'm curious if I missed him addressing some of my comments. Because he does. He's very good at it. And even though he's got a lot of comments and he will miss some. And I feel like he's missed it. But I also have heard him read some of mine, which is very cool. While he's rolling. Okay, so this is just good. The sauces we can add later, melt on. The gravy we'll make, so it's really just the paneer now. So I almost want to just go over there and sit down for a bit and talk. Like I say, it was nothing hugely fancy, but it's just the way that I'm doing it up and the fact that I'm not just having one thing. We actually have a plate, although I think it's in the dishwasher now, which is sectioned into like 3 or 4 sections. I don't know if they're equal sizes or not. And even though it makes me think of like a hospital tray or something, it's pretty darn good. So I'm gonna, that's not in a lot of sun right now, so it won't make me feel too warm or drained or whatever. Plus it's in the AC, so I'm just, that's on low. Actually, it's off. Do I want it to be though? I don't know. I say there are some that isn't cooking as well, but he might like those. Okay, and then I'll just do the sauce. I don't want those noodles to dry off, but the sauce will. And then we'll do that. Okay. And it is 8:05, and I want to get to it. But, the other person in the house really loves, not that I don't, but really loves being out in the yard and can't get enough of it. And I've been going back and forth between feeling torn today, because it's kind of like I want to as well. And I have the company that, yes. I mean, Wi-Fi is not as great out there, and I don't mind. I kind of like the privacy. Sometimes I do kind of think, it'd be great to podcast out and about, but I think I'd rather be doing it here. So here I am. But same with watching them too. So, but it's a nice breeze out, and if I could English kind of divide myself, into different places. I'd be doing it. Okay, so that's good. I don't think I even turned it back on, although I almost want to check and I want to get my beverages. So maybe if there's anything that you have to say on any of that, and then I really would like some input on something. I mean, when I put in the title, know what to do with what the universe tells us, I'm not necessarily an expert, but I've learned some things along the way. Now, and that, and I'm always, learning. I'm gonna give you one of these because it's small. Well, I don't know if it's any smaller. That one kind of tiny one. Certainly not as long and thin. Okay. Honestly, I'm not hugely hungry. As much as I'm curious to eat this stuff. Yeah, the tops of the things I had to scrape a little bit because they got a little stringy and soft. um, oh, okay. I'm gonna want this big cushion that I usually have over here, but this chair has no cushion. It's not like I have a shortage of cushions here. Let me just work with what I got here. Oh yeah, I got the coolest shirt, but I don't really want to show it on here. We really should. I know, because I know what the Galena thing, but I would say I'm even more familiar with you. And so, yes, if you could send us your TikTok, I'd love to check it out. And, you've seen so many of my videos by now. It'd be really nice to see some of yours. You're the only one here. Well, actually, at the moment, I might be too anxious to, because we took it off the channel, I believe. I might be too anxious to say it because just because it says one doesn't mean there's not others quietly watching, But so, and in fact, it says two. So I wanted to share about something that happened before I started making dinner. And before I forget, so this gravy thing that we were talking about, the gravy train, I learned about a food truck called that recently. And I actually supposed to have a song, I think, which is actually kind of mental health related. Anywho, I do it, but I was not sure I like the vibe. Anyway, so I would say maybe 3 or 4, I mean, every microwave is different, but probably 3 or 4 minutes stirring partway through, stirring initially maybe. I guess I can use that part because this, I prefer drink this. So I want to share. So yeah, so I don't know how much more. I mean, he rates my comments. He seems to have a problem with me. He was telling one person to chill, but then, he's very fast paced. A lot of his other commenters, myself included, can be. So at first I thought he was saying it to me, but he wasn't. But I don't know. One of the things I actually asked him, because I think he probably does 2 or 3 long streams a day, and then he's with his family, and he has a pretty full household. But I did ask him, do you ever watch other videos, or do you only make them? Somebody said something about, would you like to do this for a living? And that intrigued us. But then he kind of started, I almost felt like spamming or trolling him. He said, because he kept saying something about, do you believe in God or something like that? Anywho, the universal remote controls the universe, doesn't control the universe, not even remotely, is one thing I've heard of. And then I heard another really clever thing. I was looking at a picture of something I created in an art group ages ago. Oh, no, I don't remember what I said. It was brilliant, as it sometimes is. And it was years ago. I do remember that Diana who was there, and she had some, mental health issues, let's say that. She actually said, what is the universe? Maybe she was being metaphoric or whatever. Anywho, here's what I'm trying to decide, y'all. One thing I'm trying to decide, and it seems like it's the most recent, and it kind of seems like it's at the forefront. At least, I don't have a whole bunch of people waiting for dinner, in which case I'd say, well, help me out and you get it sooner. But basically, and then there was one she disabled chat when she was rolling live. And she's very focused on the music she does. She reads a little bit afterwards, and she did say in her other video, I'll have to check out your channel. To my knowledge, she hasn't yet, but she's busy, she's older, and she's making her own content. And a lot of it, I must say, is very, as I say, samey until she starts reading the chat a little bit. But it's good if you just kind of want to zen out kind of thing. And Mine sometimes is, but it's a little bit more upbeat than that usually. Anywho, but there's another lady that I discovered, perhaps before any of them. And I've seen probably about 4 or 5 of her videos. I remember the first time I saw her video, it started with piano, and then she was speaking, and I couldn't hear it without the speaker, which I hope this thing continues to be able to charge, because if not, then I won't be able to hear things that need it. Like the other one, she's not quiet, but she's not loud sometimes, especially if we have the AC on. Anyway, I don't want to get myself, congested because I'm talking so much and, be unable to eat. But I've mentioned this lady before. Me and the other person in the house have watched one of her videos, I think, and she gets into some deep stuff because, with her health, mental and physical and stuff, she's been through some stuff. She recently had a surgery. She actually says, and this is very brave, but whatever, she actually, and like I said, the young people and the old people are doing it. She actually says if anybody, for whatever reason, does not want to comment, but still wants to get in touch with her, they can mail to her. So we got these neat envelopes, actually, from a donation center, and we actually had stamps because I knew a guy I've kind of lost touch with, but he was very old school, and that was really the only thing he did. I mean, he was in his late 60s, early 70s. Anywho, so basically, but then I noticed she had 2 different addresses. And then, like I said, I've seen about 4 or 5 of her videos total. Maybe not full, but I don't think none of them have been more than 15, 20 minutes. If they were, sometimes I really get into, and if they're engaging with me even more, but I really get into something and my ADHD can hyperfocus. But anywho, so basically, so it's been a few weeks since I've seen her content, been notified of it or seen it. And I was thinking about that a little earlier this evening, and then lo and behold, I was watching the other guy's videos, and it tells me that she posted one. I thought it was live at first, but actually I don't think she ever posts them that way. I think she uploads them afterwards, which takes longer. But when you just want to do, when you want to just focus and not, and you just want to kind of, and she's in the middle of getting ready to move, and she's got her health issues. So I can understand, if she only wants to, exert so much energy and then save the rest for other stuff. I don't have that much other stuff. I have a Monday and a Tuesday thing pretty consistently. And then July is going to be fairly busy. And I wish I didn't have to wait for July to do my bike riding, but it's my only mode of transportation and I am going to need it. So, and I, it's a monitored bike station for the festival. So, I just have to make sure I have a lock available. Although someone did want to keep it in the hospital. But I don't know if they very carefully watch because they get so busy there. But then we're only going to have a month, maybe a month and a half to be able to bike. I've been trying to do some Qigong in that for physical activity. And I do move around. I mean, my bladder keeps me up and down the stairs quite often. And just in general, I mean, I do at home mostly. But anyway, I've been craving the bike. But you know what? I don't know if we've talked about it before. Sorry to veer off topic a little bit. But, it's like a freedom of having wheels. But eventually you come to an intersection, you have to drive with the flow of traffic, right? Or bad things would happen, right? And but I can't afford to fix it or I'd rather not have to worry about fixing it if something happens. So I'm keeping it good for July. So like I say, that means that I'm not getting as much biking in as I might like. But whatever. Anywho, but yeah, now she's moving to Wyoming. In fact, she lived in Wyoming before. I have found a social media for her, another social media. So what happened tonight was when I noticed her video, I came to it. There was no other comments, 20-something views. She does pretty well. I think it was just because it was a bit newer. And so I was going to comment it, and then my browser crashed. I could kind of tell it was going to. I actually tried to screenshot my comment, just in case, but then I don't know how I would have put it as a comment and if I would have wanted to do that. Anywho, and then the browser crashed, and then it relaunched, and it was a bit slow. Even when it relaunched, like there was 3 tabs that were not video tabs that it was saying was slowing things down, and I can't figure out why, because they were just a Google search. Anywho, but then I told myself, well, maybe I'd rather contact her on Facebook instead. Since I did find her, so I started to type a message. I'm not sure if it actually did go through, because it was it was being like it. I just went to one of my tabs, which is actually showing something I made in art group, which I will use as a thumbnail at some point. It's like this cool button. Actually, it's got a floral pattern on it and a paper flower, and it's the center. But like that one's not loading inbox at all at the moment. This one's going to reload the page, and then let's see. Did it send? Because that's kind of the thing. If it did, great. If it didn't, should I try again? Like the page loads just fine. It's just messages are being slow. Let me see. Is it at the side here? Nope. Not in this window. Not in this. Yeah, not in this window anyway. None of these other ones have that site currently open. Well, this does. And that's a workshop I have to decide. It's a bit cheaper to take it virtually, but then I seem to require a specialized Zoom link to be able to join things. And there's a lunch included at least one of the dates. And it's not exactly far, as long as they could accommodate the bike. It's unfortunate that there's a cost, but it's kind of about the film industry, and I'd kind of like to go to it. It's coming up this coming week, I believe, actually. Yeah, they should have. That's one thing. I think they should have the cost the same either way. But I guess it's maybe more expensive in person because it's including the lunch. Well, but then you're paying for it. So, I mean, not like it's a free lunch included. Anywho, but I'll have to decide. Yeah, it's just not loading. Just not loading. And that's the one I think I sent it under. Are you still there, Sheila? Because I just noticed when I came back that it went 1-0. Might not be accurate, I know, but I'll ask anyway. Yeah, I am going to wrap this up in the next probably 10 or 15 minutes, so. Just want to make sure you're still there, because if you're not, then I still want to say the stuff. And then, you can always come back to it. And as you know, I'm never, deleting the live chat. It's just sometimes it doesn't show. You might be working on a comment, although I know I was talking fast. But, yeah, and I'm pretty sure I turned everything off out there. But even if you copy select it to paste in afterwards and give me a quick yes first, that would be. Like I say, though, I know that I just don't know how to, let you know, remind it to heat it up. Some of that may have because it was still kind of hot, but off. But not like that's okay. A little bit of soft is okay. A little bit of soft. But I've kind of alluded to it, so. But you found out what I was cooking, but you've already eaten tonight. I don't think you'd leave abruptly unless your device died or something. Hopefully, I did start to allude to something. Obviously, I wanted some input, and if you browse my channel enough, you know that sometimes things are a bit quiet. Like say, revamped the channel, and it varies. But more often it is, some people, they look at the statistics and they're like, oh, the statistics of how this video did isn't very good, then it must not be very good. Instead of watching it and deciding for themselves. It's like the budget, do what the rest of the crowd does instead of jumping in and helping, But I understand either way with that kind of example in some cases. But anywho, hopefully you'll be curious about this tale that I started to say, and we'll be able to weigh in and who knows? Maybe I'll even maybe I'll be even able to figure it out just in my talking. Um, a lot of people would probably say, and I'm just wondering where I put my socks, by the way. Oh, right here. Okay. A lot of people would probably say go with your gut. Well, no, that doesn't work for me because my gut tells me different things, and sometimes doesn't easily settle on one particular thing. Some people may say go with the first thing it tells you. I really have to be paying attention to realize what that is, I think. And I've usually gotten too deep, too deep quickly to be able to kind of, and then it's like, well, yeah, but then it also told me this, Uh, but I'm tempted. I know I'm talking to someone tomorrow. And other than things are good and in limbo in some ways, I don't know what else I'd talk with them about. So maybe this. But again, you might come back wanting to know the rest of what I was asking, or somebody else might. So it'd be great if I could just play this out in the call. But I don't know if I'm going to be that organized. But I can try. So from the 46 mark, okay, I could try to remember that. So basically, it was interesting, whether we want to call it serendipitous or not, that I thought of this particular person that I hadn't seen her content of. We talk about YouTube quite a bit, actually, but I've been really, not that I've not been an avid YouTube user, but I mean, I've only been, almost 3 months posting. And yeah, like I say, I just feel like I'm following specific people a bit more on here. Although it ebbs and flows, but no, some of them are a few times a week. But anywho, this particular person, like I say, I hadn't seen her content in weeks. Yeah, she had a surgery recently, and I think she posted since, not a video though, but she posted that she was recovering fairly decently since then. But I don't know if I'll have more coffee now that it's past 8. And but she, yeah, when I was watching something on YouTube, it showed her. I don't even think it was in notifications. I think it was at the side. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I was watching the chat, and I was in the chat, and I was watching the video of the one I was watching. Anywho, I clicked in. The title was, it had some dots in it. I guess, maybe that was to indicate uncertainty or, something like that. Anywho, and I guess she was kind of showing kind of the place she was moving from a little bit. I think she said she was moving back to the ranch, possibly where she had lived in Wyoming before. I can't remember the other place if it wasn't Wyoming, and it sounds like it wasn't that she moved to. But basically, so yeah, like I say, I was going to comment on her video, then my browser crashed. But then I thought maybe I'd try a different social media, and then I don't know if it went through. If it didn't, what I'm trying to decide is if I should try again. I already kind of realized I might not mail her anything because she had 2 different addresses there, and now it sounds like she's either going back to one or it's changing again. I think I would prefer the other social media, since that I know I have that as an option to me. But when it looked uncertain as to whether the message actually sent through, it didn't take long but I liked what I said. And, it kind of made me think, okay, so the YouTube comment didn't go through. Now this message, not because it's the first time I've ever sent her, may not have went through. But, not that I'd be the only one telling her. Like I say, that one video was just new. Not that I'd be the only one telling her, but I can see she's been through a lot. She's got a good heart. She's musically talented. The scenery or the where she lives and what she shows of that. Like the one time she was playing guitar with a couple horses behind her, albeit, and it was they were eating of a big thing, albeit one of them looked a little thin, but maybe it had been rescued or was having a health issue or whatever. Um, I learned about why horses have horseshoes in the video I did earlier today, actually, and it was kind of my guess. But anywho, it's only you're welcome. Like 5-10 minutes. Yeah, I'm just trying to decide: is this the universe? Like, I don't feel like she's bad energy or a bad person, and yeah, she's moving, but you know, and it's true. I've not noticed on any of her content her it's saying contact her that way, but I've also not noticed. I know this might sound a certain way. I've also not noticed it saying not. I've also not noticed it saying don't. If that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. Um, but I guess if I was to ask myself, why is it that I want to? Because it said something of the effect of, I came across their content, I was thinking about it earlier, and then lo and behold, it showed it to me. I'd already came across it this other way because I was curious, and you know, uh, and she might be related to Luke, actually, Luke Combs, the country singer, who, oh, that's right, Lane's mentioned. Anywho, and sometimes in our lives, we'll go through times where we don't feel we have enough support or enough of a social circle as we'd like. It can vary throughout life, right? So I would say that somewhat that's a feeling I have right now. So it's not necessarily loneliness, but it's knowing that she'd be a good person to have in our corner, much like you feel it. And I mean, I've got the person I live with, I got a couple of, I've got 2 or 3 other people. Otherwise it's kind of very random. But I don't know. I guess I'd like to thank her. One thing she was doing in her video when she was saying Happy Father's Day, she was even saying people who are like a father to somebody, or single mothers who are also kind of like a father. Um, I've appreciated her music. She's just someone that, not that it's rare, but is very outspoken about caring about fellow humans, including strangers. There's just something about her. No, it's not a crush, but there's just something. Maybe I kind of see her as like the cool aunt or grandmother that I felt has been distilled. Never mind earlier in the video. The one went. Or I don't know. So I don't know if that's made the decision make any more sense or not, but it'll wrap up soon. But yeah, it's one thing I guess we'll see is if the message sent. I was only otherwise going to say, I like your vibes, and one thing about sending her that way, it's another way for her to then check out our channel. I could send her, Um, but again, I still don't know if it didn't send because the site was simply being wonky at the time on my device. Um, does that mean don't? That's what because I feel like how things have been transpired, some things might be saying don't, and then some things are saying yes. So what do I go with? You know? And this can be more of a topic, trying to figure out what the universe is telling us can be its own topic, perhaps. But I'm going to go eat. Um, And yeah, I'm also trying to decide with what I'm planning to watch while eating with the other person in the house. My grandmother mentioned in the video some things that I don't know basically about the fallout I had with my mother. And I mean, yeah, it wasn't much of a pause there. But she did say that she felt like, it was important that she respect that and that they all respected my decision up there. And it's not a complete fallout either. Um, you know, the person I live with realizes that I've had my mother in my life a lot longer than he has. And even though they've met, I think he has mixed feelings about her too. And I really appreciate, but in case on the way back home I step taking to drop off her shoes, that might possibly happen. I want us to be inside, but the door is locked. And I either try the doorbell, which doesn't work, or we won't hear. But yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. I'm tired from this, from cooking in general. Not super congested, not as much as I thought I would be, but I think I'm gonna go and try and eat. And if I don't eat everything, then I'll. If I don't eat all that much, then I'll eat more later. But yeah, I don't know about showing them that because it's kind of a trigger spot. But then, if we go by what she said, and what was also kind of cute or interesting about it is her Scottish accent kind of came into it. I mean, I can't think of her and not think of her Scottish accent, to be honest. Um, then see, everybody's got their own opinions though and their own feelings. But I have nothing else lined up because I've been distracted doing this. I have the rest of in the video, but right now it's just I feel so much confusion. I don't want her to feel bad if she ends up seeing this. I mean, I know that she was not trying to, make me feel. This might just be my own head. I don't know, but I just think it's what makes the most sense to look at right now. But because yeah, I don't know. I at least know my own content. Well, that means I'll skip anything. We've only got a bit left of that video anyway. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap this up. It's just a few minutes past 8:30 here. So, but you know what? Sometimes we do have late dinners. So it's about half an hour later than usual, though. Okay, talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for watching.